Hello, my brothers and my sisters. I felt the call this week to share my own story of awakening. Now, I want to be clear that I do believe that awakening is happening all throughout our lives, and it continues to happen as we journey along this being human. And each and every day, I awaken a little bit more, and I come to a deeper understanding of the truth of who I am and who we all are. But there was a time in my life that I would call my most profound awakening to date. And it was a time in my life where I had really just come to a place where I was kind of done. I had been doing spiritual work and walking this path for many, many years, and I still just felt like I was coming up against a wall when it came to really my own peace and my own contentment. And I was just tired. I was very tired. I was weary. My spirit was weary, and I was just ready to kind of be done. I, at that point, left a job, a position, what really was kind of what I thought my dream position with a wonderful group, doing amazing things. And I was having difficulties arise within the family structure, and we were being challenged. And so we had a lot of things kind of coming at us. And I, in particular, had a lot of things coming at me. And I just felt like I just was not getting clarity. And I was feeling very, very lost. And I had been, reading books and doing practice. I mean, I did everything. I really felt like I had done everything up to that point. And I just was like, this is not it. This is not it. And so I just decided to completely let go. I just decided to fully surrender it all to God. And I had what I think a lot of people refer to as kind of their, I called it my coming to Jesus moment. At that point, I wasn't sure that, it was Jesus that I was actually even searching for. I didn't know what I was looking for. I was confused. I had so much knowledge and so many different areas for the spiritual path and the journey, and I was just confused. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what practices to do, and I was just done. And so I let go, and I quit my job, and I made a commitment that I wasn't going to take on any responsibilities, any volunteering. I wasn't going to take on another job, and I was really just going to spend as much time as possible diving deep with God. Now, I have 3 children, and I have a husband, and so, I still had a very busy life that I had to manage, but I looked at this work as the most important work in my life at that moment, because for me, it really was kind of life or death. I was at this place where I was just so done with everything. And I'm certain there's those of you out there that can understand that and that can feel that, because it gets very tiresome when we are trying for, at that point, it was, half my life. I had been trying to find the answers and to find peace within my own heart and joy and contentment. And I was being told it was there, and I was, seeing in other people that it was there, but I just wasn't getting there. And I was frustrated. I was so frustrated. So I just made this commitment to myself. And at the time I gave myself 1 year, and I picked the dates, and I'm a very, driven person. I'm goal oriented. And so I set myself parameters for this time. And in the beginning, I put it in my calendar, and I just called it the work, and I looked at it as my job. And every moment that I could, I spent going deeper within for myself. And it was difficult. It was so difficult in the very beginning. I spent months just kind of staying in my room, staying in my house. I let go of, friendships. I said no to a lot of things, and I just really started to cocoon myself. At the time, I was practicing, I was meditating, I was doing yoga, but I was also drinking a lot of wine, just to kind of get through. And all of that I needed to let go of, and I needed to really get very clear on my own spiritual journey and what I needed. And so I let go. I let go of any teaching. I let go of any need to be out in society, really, except for what I really had to do with my kids and with my family. And I just set these parameters for myself. And the beginning was challenging, but I kept going. I used my own will and my determination that I had used in many other areas of my life. And instead of turning it out there, I turned it in here. And I was really alone with God for the most part. Really nobody in my family, really none of my friends, except for one or two, women, really knew what I was going through and what I was doing. I kept it very personal and very private. And I just turned to God. I turned to Spirit. And for me, it was manifested in the face of Yeshua the Christ. I called out, and he was the one that showed up for me during that time. And so I feel this beautiful affinity, and I actually, call him my guru at that time in my life, because he was really the one that in the unseen realm that came to me and stood with me and held me and showed me so much about love. And in that time, so I gave myself a year, and after a year I was like, this isn't it, this is not it, I'm not there. So I gave myself another year. And I remember distinctly, I was in a meditation, and I was just kind of beating my head up against a wall, and just wondering, what is it? What am I missing? And I heard the whispering of the divine in my heart. You have not given me all of you yet. You have not given me all of you yet. And in that moment, I knew exactly what it meant, because up until that point, I had given myself a year, and I was doing a lot more meditation, and I wasn't doing, a lot of the things that I was doing before, but I was still keeping myself very busy, and I was keeping myself distracted. And so for this next year, I really dove. This was the time that I committed to, for a couple of months, 3 days a week, I barely left my bedroom for hours. My husband would go to work and my kids would go to school, and I would go into my bedroom and I would just practice. And I would just call out. I would call out for guidance and for assistance. And I was met with a deeper love than I had ever known. was even possible. I was met with a knowing and an understanding, like a real knowing, that we are not alone, ever. That we are surrounded by loving beings of light that are there with us, that are really just kind of waiting for us to wake up and to remember the truth of who we are and what we're capable of. And so for a good part of that second year, I spent it just really what I call just swimming in the divine love of this beautiful universe. And I came to understand divine presence on such an incredibly deep level. And frankly, I didn't really ever want to leave my house. I was fine being in my meditation chair and being with my family. My relationships had improved so much. I had so much joy and I had so much contentment and so much peace. I tell people now, it's like I was barely thinking at that time at all. My mind was so still and quiet and peaceful. And frankly, I was fine. I remember having this moment where I was sitting in my meditation chair and I was just like, I never have to teach another class. I never have to work with another client. I am here and I am exactly where I want to be, and I can do this for the rest of my life. And I meant that and I felt it. But we are all here for a very specific purpose. And I was called out, and I was called back into this work of sharing and of standing in this divine presence and ultimately learning to hold space for others as they begin to awaken and remember the truth of who they are. I am no different. I actually started out this journey very skeptical, very grounded in reality. I wasn't one of those people that, I was spoken to by the angels when I was younger. It wasn't like that. And I had a very, very challenging road as a young person. But I always knew that there was something else. I always knew there had to be something else. This promise of peace and contentment and connection and love. And so I just searched for it. I searched high and low, and I went everywhere. And what I found ultimately is that all along, it was right here. All along, it was right here. And that is the same for all of us. Now, there are beautiful guides out there. There are beautiful practices. There are steps that we take on our journey that bring us closer to our own understanding of this truth and in our own timing for us to be able to dive deep. And we have to listen and we have to know for ourselves when that is. And it's all perfect. You are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment. It truly is about the letting go, the letting God. That's where we find peace. That's where we find contentment. That's where we find ourselves. And then what we realize is that all we can really do is to really strengthen ourselves, say yes to us, dive deep into our own heart, brighten our own light, so that ultimately we can hold space for others in this world. This is a difficult world to live in. And there are many, many horrors, many, many challenges and questions. Why? But once you learn and you understand that it is about living in a place of surrendered trust, you begin to know that ultimately God is in it all, and there is good in it all. All of it. All of it. I know that's difficult to understand. And I know that for myself, I didn't understand it. But now I know it. I know it to be true. And I stand in this place of knowing with you, for you, inviting you to really dive deep within your own heart and your own understanding so that you can have that truth resonate for you. We have been brought together in this way for a reason. And if you're listening to this message, and if you've made it now 16 minutes in, we have a beautiful alignment, and you are being called. You are being called to more. Because you have it all within you. I promise. No matter where you find yourself, no matter how hard or how challenging these moments are, this life is, you've got it all. And ultimately, the process is very simple. We confuse ourselves and we bring in so much more information that we don't need, because it really is a very simple process. And there are incredibly simple practices that help to bring you into that place of center, into that place of stillness, the still, quiet place within, so that you can hear that still, quiet voice that is you, that is connected to all that is your North Star. And then you will never feel alone again. You will never feel confused again. Never. This is the promise. This is the truth. Lift the veil and see and know for yourself. I give thanks. I give thanks to all of those in the unseen realm that are here supporting and blessing this message and bringing it into your heart. All is well, my friend. And so it is.